All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's Wisdom and Wanderlust Wednesday webinar. My name is Michael Bennett, co-founder of ExplorerX, and on behalf of the entire ExplorerX family around the world, we want to welcome you to today's webinar. For those of you that are new to the ExplorerX community, we are a Seattle-based travel company, and our focus is really dedicating ourselves to providing extraordinary travel experiences that not only give you exclusive access to people, places, and experiences that you simply won't get with other travel companies, but really the special sauce, and I think what makes us really unique, is the fact that we aim to inspire and guide and support and invite you on an inner journey of learning and growth that we think will lead to and hope leads you to making simple yet really powerful actions in your life that make a difference in your life and in your communities as well. So you can learn more about how we do that and about ExplorerX on our website, explorer-x.com. You can always email us, travel@explorer-x.com, and we'll get right back to you. So, but anyway, for now, welcome, and we're super pumped that you're here. Before we begin and hop into our conversation today with our good friend Jeff, we did want to take a second to have a few of our team members introduce themselves so you get a chance to kind of get to know us a little bit better.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Robin. I'm a custom travel designer with the ExplorerX team, and I also assist with a couple of the small group journeys. I started traveling at a young age and ultimately turned it into my career, and I've accumulated experience in both international and domestic US-based trip design. I'm originally from Washington State, but I now live in Bozeman, Montana, and work remotely from here.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda. I manage our small group journeys and assist Robin with travel design of our custom journeys. I've been in the industry for about 15 years now. I began specializing in Africa for about 4 years, but gosh, about 12 years now I've specialized in the whole world, international destinations all over. So I've also worked abroad selling travel in both Scotland and New Zealand, but I'm now based here in Seattle. And well, today I'm in Slovenia, at least my background is. So we're working on a small group journey to Slovenia in 2022, and I'm just a little bit excited. So do stay tuned for updates on that. Okay, before we get started, a few housekeeping items. We are going to keep this to as close to an hour as possible. We are recording, as Michael said, and it will be available afterward. So we'll email everyone a link. Finally, if you have any questions, please use the question and answer box at the bottom of your screen. We'll be monitoring that as we go through the discussion today and answer them as we go along.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Robin. So if you've been with us over the past month, we have had a really fun journey through some pretty spectacular destinations around the world, and you've had a chance to meet some of our team members in Morocco, Ecuador, Mongolia, Portugal, and Ireland. Today, and frankly, over the next 4 Wisdom and Wanderlust Wednesday webinars, we're going to be shifting gears a little bit to focus more on what we like to refer to as the inner journey of travel. The idea of learning and growth that comes from the experiences that we have, and seeing how and exploring some of the ways that travel can be a tool for taking inspired action in our lives. Today, we've got the great pleasure of chatting with our good friend, Jeff Wickersham. Jeff is a sought-after high-performance coach whose mantra is Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat, which also happens to be the title of his forthcoming ebook. So stay tuned for more information about that. And when it's available, we'll be sure to send that out to our entire community because it's absolutely going to be worth it. Jeff is also the founder and creator of the Morning Fire Coaching and the Morning Fire podcast. We'll send you links to those tomorrow, probably when we send the recording of this out. And those podcasts and that coaching program specializes in guiding clients to implementing game-changing habits for more energy, focus, abundance, and time in their lives through the power of creating morning routines. So, Jeff, it's great to see you, man. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
So we go back, I mean, this is fun, right? Because we go back almost 25 years, which is nuts to think about. We first met in '96 at the University of Delaware, and you were about to graduate. I was just coming in as a freshman, and we had a chance to connect through our fraternity. And and really we haven't really reconnected until just a few months ago. When our paths fortuitously crossed. So share more with, not with me, but with the group and the community here, what you've been up to in the past 20 years, and how have you gotten to this point in your life and your career?
Absolutely. So before we do that, I say let's change our state. So Amanda, Robin, we're all going to get off of mute, and we're going to do 2 power breaths and then a power boom, and we're going to really kind of change our state so you can get into it. So I define a power breath by breathing in through your stomach, your chest, and all the way up back on the back of your neck. So it's a deep breath in. So let's breathe in and out. Good. Another breath in and out. All right, I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, and we're going to yell boom at the top of our lungs, and we're going to feel the energy kind of reverberate. Ready? 3, 2, 1, boom!
Boom!
Nice. Love it, love it, love it, love it. It's kind of
Can
crazy.
we start every meeting like this? I love that.
There you go. See, I mean, look at the 4 smiles we've got and the energy. So, Michael, to your point, yes. So it's been a while since we connected, and so happy that we were able to connect again. And it's amazing how the universe aligns and our paths have crossed. So I was in corporate America for about 17, 18 years. 5.5 years ago, I lost my mom to breast cancer, and it was one of those moments where I was punched in the gut, cut at the knees, and it really just kind of I had this awakening where life is short, and we have to live every day and be grateful for each day. And shortly thereafter, I took the entrepreneurial leap, started my own gym, and kind of what organically grew out of that was just an inner frustration of not being able to figure out, hey, why am I stuck? Why do I feel like I'm on this never-ending treadmill? And why do I feel like every day is Groundhog Day and I'm in the same spot I was 2 years ago or 3 years ago? And I fight and I try and get past it, but I just can't. And that's where it came back to habits and rituals, and it kind of organically grew out of my gym business on how do you set yourself up for success. And so much of what we do, it can be up to 95% what we do is driven through our habits and rituals, meaning it's pre-programmed, it's on autopilot, and we don't even have to think about it. So we're not consciously aware. And that's why you have this loop. And that's why you're like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day with that same song popping on the alarm clock radio. And it was just a frustration. So now I just love moving the needle for folks and coaching them on how to set themselves up for success at night. And then what does that first 30 to 40 minutes in your morning look like?
Yeah, and at a personal level, as we've discussed over the past few months, you and I share some unfortunate parallels, right? And symmetries, because, I was in my doctorate program in 2012 when my dad passed pretty suddenly, that was, as you said, a gut punch. And that is what really inspired me, much like you, to sit back and say, geez, man, life is way too short, and I'm in a job that I don't love, and it's not the work that fills my soul every day. So how do I bring my best self to this? How do I leverage all of my experience, all of my education, all of my skills and passions to doing something that really gives me that sense of power and the experience of life that I'm really looking to have? And so, we both have sort of gone through that, and a reminder that these challenging times in all of our lives, right, can often, if we use them well, lead to, really amazing results.
Absolutely. And we move as human beings for 2 reasons, right? Either away from pain or towards pleasure. Now, I would say away from pain is so much more of a motivator. It's that trigger, death of a parent, something that really just causes you to think about what's important and how short life is. And that can really trigger you to make changes. And what I like to do is try and start before that and set you up for success in the morning and at nighttime. So you don't necessarily have to go through that pain to move.
Yeah. And we'll get into this a little bit later in this discussion, but sort of trying to thread the idea of travel through this, right? There's similarities there, right? Because when you're talking about travel and frankly, the way that we envision travel and the way that we see it, not only is this opportunity to have unbelievable experiences, have tons of fun, eat great food, drink great wine / whatever you want to drink there, right? Take great photos, all that stuff. But it is, a really unique and powerful opportunity to shift perspectives, right? And as we've said on this webinar many times, that the only reliable source of action is how we see the world, how we see ourselves, right? So if travel can shift how we see ourselves in the world, it's going to inspire us to take new actions, right? What I found over the years, right, is that oftentimes people go on a trip, they come back, they're super excited, they're fired up, they want to do something, and yet they don't have the foundation to really begin implementing and taking action on that because their habits and rituals are not there, and they get back to the normal environment, and that habit and ritual is lousy, as we just talked about, before we got on, right? Yeah, and so that lousy habit leads to lousy choices, which leads to a lousy, experience of life. So the point here is just the idea that building habits and rituals into our daily routines can not only support us on a day-to-day basis, but can really up-level that travel experience, because when you come home and you are feeling inspired to take action, you're going to have that energetic platform and foundation to really begin implementing some of those things and not just fall back into bad habits.
Yeah, and habits and rituals and how to set yourself up for success wasn't taught. It's not taught in elementary school. It's not taught in middle school. It's not taught in high school. I don't think it's taught in college, to the best of my knowledge. That was many years ago. But yet it's so vital to our success. And what we do many times is passed down generationally, right? Our parents did something some way. They took it from their parents, who could have grown up in the Great Depression and a time of a world war, and we just take it and adopt it as children because we want to be loved, we want to be accepted, and we don't know any better. And if you don't challenge those thought patterns, challenge what you've heard, yes, you're going to stay in those same patterns and routines. And it's just like if you relate it to travel, or you go to a conference and you get all pumped up for 2 days, you come home, you do something for a day or two, but then you go back to your standard, you go back to what you're used to, because you don't have the knowledge of how to set yourself up to make those habits and those experiences long-term.
Yeah. So you mentioned the treadmill that a lot of people are on. I was on that for a long, long time. It sounds like you were as well. I'm sure most people are on that for a time. So how do we get unstuck, and how do we get out of that loop of bad habits and develop better habits?
So I'd say number one is just having an awareness. I think so people are unaware that so much of what they do is driven through their habits and rituals. It's on autopilot, right? The mind and the brain has a limited capacity, right? It can only burn through so many calories in a day. So anything it can automate, it will, right? I always say the brain will take the easy way every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So, you've got to try and figure out how you can set yourself up for success. And it could be, hey, if you don't want to eat cookies anymore and you want to be a little bit healthier, don't buy freaking cookies and put them in the pantry, right? Add some resistance in. I mean, I know it's simple and it's straightforward, but so many people don't take that approach. And I forget the book I was reading, but the guy had an issue with coming home at the end of the day, and he was a single guy, and he'd flop on the couch and turn on Netflix. And next thing you know, it'd be 4 hours later. Well, what he did was he took the batteries out of the remote control, put them upstairs in his closet somewhere where he had to dig and find it. And just creating that resistance, that 10 to 15 seconds, he broke his habit, because he's like, I'm not going to walk. I'll just read a book. So, if one, the most important thing is having an awareness of your habits and rituals and trying to uncover them. And then number two is you can either struggle through it, or you can get a coach or advice from folks and a mentor that can help you really build.
Yeah.
Yep.
A quick sidebar a bit, but you talk about, taking the batteries out, right? I think one thing that we've had a lot of conversations about as a team over the past few months, we're all being impacted by COVID and navigating our way through extraordinary and unpredictable times. And so one thing that's come up is like the idea, and we talk a lot about transformational travel, right? And the power that travel can have to support or inspire us to take change in our lives. But oftentimes people think about that as like big T transformations. I'm going to come home, I'm going to shave my head, move to Nepal, start a nonprofit, and become a Buddhist monk, right? Like, whereas oftentimes, right, the more meaningful and lasting changes that they can make are the simple small ones, right? Like taking the batteries out so I don't watch as much television, which allows me to do more reading, or spend more time with my family and loved ones, right? And that has all these other benefits. So it doesn't have to be big changes or big transformations as much as it can be simple little things and habits that we start implementing in our lives that have a huge impact.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's simple, starting out small, right? And doing it on a daily basis. If you want to meditate, for example, meditate for 2 minutes, right? Don't make it, you're going to meditate on the side of a mountain for an hour. And Simon Sinek has a book, The Infinite Game. And in that book, he says consistency is more important than intensity. And I just think that's so profound, right? Where January 1st comes, we all have New Year's resolutions. So many people say, you know what, I'm going to work out 60 minutes every day for the entire year. Okay. They go for 2 days. They're so sore they can barely walk. Now they have a negative emotion to exercising. And 3 weeks into the year, the gym parking lot is back the way it is. You're starting off too intense, right? Just be consistent, start small, and you'll be able to build habits that really set you up for success.
Yep. And you've built a series of habits and rituals, so to speak, into your life. Can you share a little bit more about what those might be, if you're willing, and as importantly, share what the impact has been as you started to implement them?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was 3 years ago, when I was frustrated, felt like I was on that never-ending treadmill, and I felt like I was capped personally, right? Because the battle is truly within; it's not external. The battle is in your mind, and it's you against you. Everything I read, the courses I took, the coaches I came across, it was all about how do you set yourself up for success at night, because so many times we don't think about, okay, what should I do at night to prepare in the morning? And I think it was it the great UCLA basketball coach, John Wooden's like, failure to prepare is preparing to fail. So how can you prepare the night before, right? If you hit the snooze button, put the phone away from the bed. So you have to physically get out of bed, have your clothes right there, right? Do everything you can at night to prepare. So when you wake up, you're hitting the ground running. So I typically have my glass of water out. I have my clothes right by my phone, and I'm ready to go, right? My alarm clock pops off in the morning, come downstairs, immediately get a glass of water, right? We're dehydrated overnight. That's the longest stretch we go in our 24 hours without drinking water. And the body is made up of so much of water. I think your lungs, with COVID, your lungs are 83% water. I think you should probably drink water every single day, a little bit more as you have a drink, right? That's the truth. And then it's just little steps after that. And I try and set myself up for success where the glass of water is already poured. I've got some Himalayan salt in it, already ground up. People are like, why do you do that the night before? And I mentioned this before, that the mind will take the easy way. So what happens if I come downstairs, my glass of water isn't there, I've got to go to the cabinet. I have to make a decision. Am I opening up the cabinet door to grab that water? What if my favorite cup isn't there? It's in the dishwasher. I know you guys are laughing, but that's what happens. And the mind will stop you. The mind will say, you know what? My favorite cup isn't here. Screw it. I'm going back to bed. And that's what happens. So if you can set yourself up where everything's laid out, like my affirmations, I'll get a brief workout in, I'll get a green smoothie, so I get good nutrients to kind of fuel the engine. And I consider my body a sports car, like it's a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. If I want to run, right, I was up at 3:40 this morning. If I want to run at a fast pace, I better, 1, exercise, and 2, I better put good fuel into that race car. So I get a green smoothie, I meditate, I journal a little bit, and then write notes to my kids. And it's about 30 to 40 minutes, and I am ready even at 4:15 in the morning to run through a brick wall and ready to go. So.
Awesome. Yeah, you touched on a lot there. One thing that I've been sort of geeking out on lately is the idea, I mentioned this energetic platform that we need to create for ourselves, right? And it comes down to, as you just said, sleep, eat, nutrition, movement and exercise, and mindfulness and meditation. One thing I've been experimenting with lately, and it's kind of been fun because, like, the days that I don't do it, or the next day, I'm like, I know it immediately. Like, even if it's amazing to see the power of this is setting a digital sunset, the night before. So if I know that I want to go to bed at 10:30, I'm shutting that phone down at 9:30, or the television or the computer or whatever, and trying to do, creating a ritual around the preparation for sleep, right? Whether it's walking the dog, brushing the teeth, taking a shower, getting the coffee, I do coffee, you do Himalayan sea salt water and green smoothies, but I should learn from you. But everything else. But it really helps us wind down it, right? I mean, do you implement anything like that?
Absolutely. I try 30 minutes prior to going to sleep to be off the phone. I love to read prior to going to sleep. I also, initially, when I was starting out this process in my clients, there's affirmations at night. So basically I'm telling myself I'm waking up at 3:40 in the morning. I'm going to wake up with energy, passion, excitement. 6 hours of sleep is plenty of sleep for my body to heal. And you're basically programming your mind overnight that, yes, this is what is taking place. And then when your alarm goes off, you're hitting the ground running. And you can set yourself up for big wins the next day by doing that, right? Visualizing a little bit, like what are you going to accomplish tomorrow, and see that and really paint a vivid picture, because the mind works on those things as you sleep. But yes, at night, shut down 30 minutes prior to going to bed, because if you're on and you have that blue light exposure, the natural melatonin production is going to stop, and it creates a bad night's sleep. I mean, my wife always laughs at me. She's like, how do you fall asleep literally during a conversation we're having, and it's been 7 seconds? And I'm like, one, I get up at the crack of dawn, but two, I'm prepared to sleep, and it's my time to go to sleep.
Absolutely. Speaking of sleep, and I want to get into your book that you've written, and it's coming out soon. I've been kind of diving into a book called Why We Sleep by a guy named Matthew Walker. Fascinating stuff, right? Talks a lot about the things you're getting into here. There's another book I just read, The Healthy Deviant, which was fantastic, and I've been gnawing on this book. This book will make you dangerous. So you and I are bookworms, man. We love to read this stuff and share some of it. But so tell us more about your book. When's that coming out, and what can we look forward to in there?
So it's with the Formatter right now. I'm thinking about 2.5 weeks. It'll be available, and it'll be available in ebook format first, and then paperback a quick follow after that. And it's a way to start to implement some of the habits and rituals that I coach my clients on, and it's simple, straightforward. You can take action, and I really try and drive home that, listen, you are the driver of your bus. You can make different choices, you can have different outcomes, but you've got to take action, right? We're in the greatest time in the history of the world to gather information, podcasts, books, YouTube, whatever it is. But knowledge without action is really useless. So you really need to take action on it. So it was just a way to reach more people. And my late mother, was a reading specialist, and I hated to read growing up. So it's ironic that I read a couple books a month, and now I'm going to release a book. She's probably sitting up there saying, you son of a gun, I can't believe this. But it's just another way to move the needle for people. And I want everybody to have that zest for life, that passion, that excitement, and understand each day as a gift. And if I can do that through the vehicle that is a book, then I'm pumped for it.
Awesome. And that's not the only outlet that you've got for coaching and supporting people in that journey, right? So you've been working on the morning fire coaching and the podcast as well, right? Can you share more about that?
Yeah. So I guess it's been about 17 months now that I've been coaching clients. My signature course is a 10-week small group coaching program where we spend a week training, going through my online course, and then we get into working on a daily basis. It's basically 10 weeks of daily accountability. And studies have shown, they've done brain scans of kind of the neural networks of habits, and they're formed anywhere from 21 to 67 days. And I think we all know whoever said 21, that stuck because it was the shortest period of time. And most of us know it's not 21 days to create a habit. Back to the gym. The gym's always bare third week of January. So I wanted to get past that 67-day threshold to make it 10 weeks. And the daily accountability piece is key, right? To get your routine done in the morning, It's not complex. It's simple, straightforward, and it's a game changer for folks. And I've gotten comments like, I can't believe this is how I get more energy and more focus. And it's so simple, but yet we don't know it and we're not aware of it. So that's my signature program. And I have a course as well that I know we're going to offer up to the group for a little bit of a discount. And then I have a podcast. It's a Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs podcast. And I've been doing that for almost, it'll be 2 years in October. So just trying to move the needle and get the word out and have people think just a little bit differently. If you can just think and have a little bit different perspective, the whole world can change for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just a quick sidebar there. I love the idea of the courses that you're doing, the online, sort of self-paced, do it yourself, your live program for 10 weeks, the book that's coming out. One of the things that we've been doing here at ExploreX, this is how you and I really got connected, right? Is looking at how do we support our travelers? It's one thing to say, hey, travel can be life-changing, and we're going to try to give you some tools and resources to make some of those changes big or small in your life. But it's something else to be able to connect our travelers with people like you, right? So just as a note to people listening live or on recording, we are curating a really awesome collection of folks that are going to be able to bring their certain areas of expertise, coaching, consulting, meditation, nutrition, personal training, et cetera, to this, so that as you're traveling, whatever area that you want support and guidance on, we'll be able to bring that and support you in that. So sidebar over. I have a question for you. One thing that's part of your morning routine or ritual is a cold shower. Is that right?
Yes, I do. I am a huge advocate of the cold.
And this is something that I think a lot of, I was going through your website, a lot of your testimonials and people that have commented say that's maybe been one of the biggest and most powerful experiences they take. What is it about that that's so invigorating?
So I think I'm up to about like 570 straight days with a cold shower or an ice plunge. And there's some physical benefits from it. Improved circulation, it gives your immune system a boost. It's supposed to be good for your skin and hair. Unfortunately, the hair, ship sailed a long time ago for me, but I love the mental aspect of it, right? Where you don't want, everything in your body and your mind is telling you, do not get in this cold shower. But if you can step through that uncomfortable state and get in that shower and breathe, and I do some power breathing. I've been following Wim Hof out in Poland for quite some time, and I've actually had a certified instructor, ex-Navy SEAL FBI agent, come to my gym a couple of times where we do the breathing and we get into ice tubs. But if you can push yourself through, there is this rush of adrenaline and of just this rawness to getting in and doing something that your mind kind of makes it out that it's this terrible thing or you're going to die, and you're just not. You're going to get in, and once you get into those habits and you get into that rush, it can just it's another piece to the puzzle to really ignite you in the morning.
Have you done any polar plunges in some of the more?
I have not. I will tell you, when you get into a tub filled with ice and there isn't really any water, it's the coldest you'll ever be. I mean, it is, and I've done cryo therapy here recently twice, and the ice is still colder. And the last cryo I did was -213 for 3 minutes. And they kind of take a temperature gauge of your skin temperature behind your leg when you go in. And the last time I was at 88 degrees, and after 3 minutes, I was at 61 degrees. But I will tell you, the ice is just frigid. And my family chuckles because I've got a tub that I keep out on our porch in the wintertime filled. And I've been known to go Facebook Live and crack the ice with a sledgehammer and then sit in there and meditate and talk for a while. So I just love the mental challenge of it. I truly do. And it's pretty invigorating. So if you're watching, you don't have to do it fully, but just at the end, turn it to a little cold for 5-10 seconds and just feel that rush tomorrow.
Oh, all right. Challenge accepted. I will do that tomorrow,
Nice. And
I will let you know how it goes. I will say, I had the opportunity back in October. I was in Sweden, plug for our small group journey to Sweden next year, up at this sort of remote mountain hut. And they just had the first snow of the year. And so me and like 3 of our friends like ran down through like a foot of snow, about a quarter of a mile in our like skivvies, right? Down to the lake, jumped in, you know, stayed there for about 30 seconds and ran back up in the snow into the sun. I mean, it felt awesome. Like, well, afterwards it felt awesome. It was, you know, but yeah, no, I get the total invigoration there. So that's.
And the other piece is just the mental focus. So a lot of what you do prior is, you know, focusing on your breath, and there's just so much power in breathing, and it's so automatic for us. And it's just like what we did initially there. You know, you take 5 breaths wherever you're at. If they're deep breaths, you can completely change your state, calm down, and it allows you to really focus your mind, and that can definitely benefit you.
Are your rituals the same on the weekends? I mean, aside from the time difference, or is it do you change it up?
They are, for the most part. I have a mantra that I follow and I coach my clients on: never miss twice, right? That life happens, and I'm not coming from a place where you have to do this every single day, right? You go on vacation, stuff happens, but never miss twice, because if you use all this energy to start this process, you get that train moving down the train tracks, maybe there's 100 train cars behind it. It's going. If you miss one day, the train slows down a little bit, but it doesn't stop. If you hop back on the next day, you can continue on. But if you stop for 1 day, 2 days, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 7, and then it takes you so much energy. So I modify just the wake up time a little bit, but I try and stay pretty darn consistent with what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and again, something we were talking about, you know, previously is the interdependence of all of this stuff, right? Sleeping, eating, moving, and meditation. It's so easy once you fall off for even a day, you know, you get your sleep cycle gets screwy, and all of a sudden, you know, you're tired. You're, as you said, making lazy choices in terms of exercise and nutrition, and that leads to feeling crappy. And it just boom, 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 boom.
It's a vicious cycle. And I'll say, I know personally, when I miss a day or I don't do everything, I just feel off. And I've had clients that have only been in the program for a week, and they take 1 day off and they're like, God, that day was awful. Like, I just didn't have the same, you know, I didn't have the same energy. I wasn't focused. I probably, you know, sat on the couch and ate crappy. You know, it's crazy how that occurs so quickly.
Right. Absolutely.
I've got a question for you, Jeff.
Sure, Robin.
Are there like a few rituals that you think everyone should be doing, no matter who they are, or can the rituals vary so drastically from person to person?
So they can definitely vary. And I tell clients as they're going through the 10-week program, I say, here's the blueprint that's been successful for me and most of my clients. I want you to put on that white lab coat and be a scientist and try and play around. But I would say definitely drinking a glass of water in the morning. You got to move, you got to fuel the body properly. And then you've got to do some type of meditation. I would say those would be the 4 core, you know, that everybody should do no matter what.
All right. So you travel a bit with your family.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you travel? How are you able to maintain or modify, you know, these rituals and habits while you're traveling to make sure that you're still doing what you need to be doing to show up as best you can?
So we went to the Outer Banks last year, and I did bring my Vitamix with me for the green smoothie. And then my dad's girlfriend saw this kale and spinach in the freezer, and she thought it was left from the other group. So she threw it out, and I was like, what did you do? But I try and stay as consistent as possible. But again, to Robin's question, I would always keep 2, 3, 4 things that you're going to do no matter what. Right. I've almost meditated 1,000 straight days. Like, regardless of where I'm at, I'm always going to meditate. Right. I'm always going to take a cold shower. I'm always going to exercise. And those are kind of the core 3 that I do each time. And I will say, now, since I've gotten so into meditation, there's nothing better than being on a trip, a vacation, waking up and seeing a sunrise on the beach or something and meditate. I mean, it's just so incredibly powerful. And I feel like it's so much more enriching when you do that and you come back, and it's pretty cool.
All right. Favorite meditation experience?
I have had, this has only happened once, but I have had an out of body experience where I literally came up and took a look back at myself when I was in such a deep meditative state. And that it's only happened once. And that when it happened, I was literally like, what the heck just happened? But and I wouldn't believe it if I didn't experience it myself.
You know, there are people that might roll their eyes at this, but I have had a similar experience at one point as well. I sort of felt this blue light coming up the back, and I just sort of felt myself. It was wild, man, leaving your body and looking down and observing. And it was just for, 30 seconds or something, but it was
getting goosebumps right now as you talk about it.
Yeah. It's wild. Yeah. Wow. But, and this is, I mean, to bring it back to travel, right? This is something that I love to do. We can't do all of the same things while we're traveling that we would do at home, right? But we can still make sure that we're getting ample sleep, right? We can still make sure that we're eating well enough. Right? You don't want to eat, yes, you want to eat new foods and all that, but as we said when we were talking about Portugal, you don't want to eat so much that you feel like a hippopotamus, right? And you can't really enjoy the rest of the experience, right? You want to get out and exercise. So whether it's hiking or just walking around the city or kayaking, you're doing whatever it might be, make sure your body is sort of right. And you can always take time for some kind of reflective or mindful practice, even if it's 5 minutes, right?
And I think that's just with travel so exciting and can be different than what you're used to, right? And I always feel like I exercise more when I'm on vacation because I have more time, and then I can go for a jog and experience a different part of where I'm at. And then meditating to the sunrise, it just gives you those two things can play anywhere, and you definitely should keep with them when you travel.
And if any, oddly enough, if anything, in this moment, I'm thinking it's it's easier maybe at home to be distracted, right? Because we are maybe more tethered to our alarm clocks, our devices, our kids waking up, whatever else is going on in the world. Versus when you're traveling, you're like, ideally, I don't have to do anything, right? I'm just, and so in some ways, it would seem to make sense that those habits and rituals would be easier to sort of follow when you're not scrambling between soccer practice and guitar lessons and this work conference call and whatever else might be going on.
Yeah, I would just say, to your point, eating and drinking then has a downstream effect to what you're going to do, right? So that's, I would say definitely enjoy yourself, but don't enjoy yourself too much where you're so hungover the next day you can't exercise and you can't meditate and really fully experience the journey.
Yep, absolutely. Do you have, when you travel, is there, maybe you've already answered this, but I'm going to ask it again in a different way. Do you have a favorite travel ritual? Is there something that you have to do while you're traveling that is non-negotiable? You do this every day.
Meditation. Absolutely meditation. Yep. I just feel like that is, we are bombarded by so many different bits and pieces of information, email, social media, TV, radio, whatever it is. It's not like I meditate for a half an hour. I do 10 to 15 minutes a day. And that's just enough time to focus on my breath. And I think I always use guided meditation because my mind wanders. And that allows whoever I'm listening to say, hey, focus back on the temperature of your breath going in your nose and out your nose, and kind of centers me. And I just think it's incredible to look back 3 years ago, because I thought meditation was very woo-woo-ish, a monk on the side of the mountain. But I'm just such a firm believer of it. And I look forward to it on vacations because I can chase a sunrise and sit somewhere that I haven't experienced before. And that's a pretty cool thing.
What do you use for your guided meditation?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm butting in here again.
So no, good question. So I use Insight Timer as my as my go-to app. Other people use Calm. There's some other ones. I just started using Insight Timer, and the one thing I love is after you're done, it pops up, how many times you've meditated, and in my face, and what you track grows. And I still remember I was like in the mid 200s, and we were down at Disney. And we had left at like 3:00 in the morning, and it was like 10 at night. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't meditate today. I almost screwed up my number. But yeah, Insight Timer's nice because you can search by the length, you can search by, a topic necessarily. If you wanted to say just a 5-minute meditation, you could just put in 5 minutes and it'll search 5-minute guided practices.
Yeah, that's actually the one that I've used in the past and really liked. So yeah, cool to hear.
Now,
Awesome.
you're a morning meditation guy? Do you ever meditate in the evening as well, or unless you're running around Disney World and you're?
So yes, it's part of my morning routine every day. I do every so often meditate during the day if I find something has triggered me and I'm upset and I'm just frustrated. I'll go and meditate, and that definitely calms me down. There's also studies that have shown if you listen to your voice, that can be very soothing and powerful. So there's another app called Think Up where you can actually record your own affirmations and they play it back for you. But I've actually recorded about like a 7-minute meditation practice where I guide people through. It was triggered during COVID. My cousin was a physician at Montefiore Hospital in the Bronx, and he got sick, and we thought he had COVID. So one morning I just said, you know what, I'm recording him this guided meditation because I'm such a firm believer in mind-body connection. And now I listen to it every so often. So to answer your question, part of the morning routine, but I'll use it sporadically when I need to throughout the day.
Yeah. Awesome. I love evening meditations. The problem is I tend to get so relaxed that I just fall asleep.
I guarantee you that would happen with me. I guarantee you, if I'm falling asleep in 7 seconds in a conversation with my wife, if I have the headphones and I'm lying down, I'm out.
Yeah. Sorry. So we've talked a lot about AM and PM bookends and what we're doing to set ourselves up for success. Are there things that you do sort of throughout the course of the day? Are there any rituals or habits that you have that, for example, like one thing that I've been sort of, again, reading a lot about are ultradian rhythms, right? So the idea that our bodies go and our minds go through these 90-minute cycles of productivity followed by 15 to 30 minutes of just needing time to disconnect and relax, right? And refresh and recharge. So, and I've experimented with that. The days that I can do that and take Fred for a walk for 20 minutes in between my 90-minute cycles and calls, way more productive, way happier. It makes a tangible difference. Are there things that you do throughout the day to kind of keep that going?
So I do love getting up and just exercising for, 5 minutes or so. And it could be just going out for a walk and getting some fresh air, because to your point, I feel like when you're sitting in the office and you're just grinding through emails or calls, you get worn down and you're not your best self. So you probably don't get as much done. So when I feel low, I'll move a bit. I have been known to get a power nap in the afternoons where I'll go up and throw in some binaural beats. I've got a nice eye mask that I wear with some purple eyelashes, and I sleep for 20 minutes to kind of recharge. But so exercise, I feel like, and so many of us get a lull after lunch. We're kind of run down. And if you can just move a little bit, it's great. Breathe a little bit. Those are some of the kind of quick things I do to stop going down the route of being groggy and dragging through the day.
Yeah. It is. We all have so much going on. Our days are always, asymmetrical, right? And so that no 2 days is the same, or 2 days are the same, right? But the more that we can build in some of these practices. There's a quote that I came across that I wrote down that I wanted to share this with you, and you may have heard this before, but it's that 99% is a bitch, but 100% is a breeze. The idea being that, it's if I say I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't smoke cigarettes. It doesn't matter how many times somebody can offer me that. I'm not going to say yes, right? But if I'm 99%, then there's always that decision to be made, right? And so, I don't know. Any thoughts or reflections on that?
Just full commitment to what you're doing, right? That full commitment. And so many of us have one foot in the boat, one foot on the island. And if you want great things in life and want achievement and want success, you've got to burn the boats, right? There's no way to go back, right? You've got to take the island and fully commitment. When you're fully committed, you have this purpose, you have this passion, you have this energy, you have this drive that people absolutely feel, and it's infectious. And quite honestly, people want to be around that. Like, there's too much negativity in the world. If we can be that beacon of hope, of positivity, of change in our world, man, we can enrich everybody else's life, and that's a powerful way to live.
Yeah. Well, you bring that energy, man, and it is infectious. I know I've been sitting here with a smile on my face the entire time, and so every time we talk, I always feel like I could run through a brick wall afterwards. So
I love it. And you know what, that's what I want to do, right? Is losing my mom was the hardest thing I've ever had to go through, and she was a firm believer in hope and positivity, and that's I'm kind of fulfilling her legacy in some manner. So yeah, that's my mission.
Awesome. Rob and Amanda, do you guys have any other questions for Jeff right now?
I have one more. I'm curious how the REM cycle, the sleep cycle, works with your 3:30 a.m. wake up call, or if that's just something that just adjusts over time. Your body just adjusts to that, and then maybe you automatically just start waking up at that time. I feel like at 3:30 a.m. that's when I'm in my deepest sleep. So I'm curious how that.
So I try and get 4 90-minute sleep cycles. So I'm trying to, if I'm up at 3:40, I'm upstairs by 9, get my sons to sleep, prayers with them, and then trying to get into bed anywhere from 9:20 to 9:40. And then I'm hitting 4 of those sleep cycles. And I have programmed where, hey, 6 hours of sleep is plenty of sleep for me. And now at this point, it's kind of automatic and in my subconscious mind. So I'm hitting the ground. Now that doesn't mean there aren't days at 3:40 when I literally just flop on the floor and I have to stretch a little bit. And I'm from Philadelphia, so I love the Rocky movies, and I'll be like, it's Mickey yelling at Rocky, get your ass up off the canvas and get moving. And that's what I'll use sometimes to just move.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, Amanda, Michael, any other questions?
I don't, other than I know we're gonna move into some rapid fire questions for Jeff here, and then wrap this up. But I guess just to kind of plug, Jeff, and we'll send this out tomorrow again in sort of the recap email. But just give us some more of the ways that we can connect with you, your podcast, your book, etc. Where can we find you online?
Absolutely. So the podcast is Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs podcast. You can search that. It's available on iTunes, Spotify, all the major podcast providers. I know you guys are going to send out a link where you guys, people that are watching right now live or on replay, you can get access to my course, and you can get that blueprint, right? That I have battle tested. I eat, sleep, and breathe it and live it on a daily basis. And if you're struggling on that treadmill and you want to not spend the time to fumble around and try and get there, you could grab the course and implement it right away and see some quick wins. I'm out on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram handles Jeff_Wickersham. And then you can always go out to the www.themorningfire.com if you want to find me. And I know Michael and I will be connected and going to do some great things together. So just excited for the journey.
Absolutely. And also just adding that, if you want to reach Jeff by email, it's jeff@explorer-x.com. And we'll be able to make sure you get connected with Jeff that way. So cool. Robin, rapid fire.
Yeah, awesome. No, thanks so much, Jeff. I definitely feel pretty inspired to work on my cold temperature tolerance. That's something I struggle with a lot.
Nice. I love it. Love it.
But yeah, I just want to wrap things up with some rapid fire questions. So what this means is we will ask you to answer the following questions with one word or short phrase responses.
Okay.
And we just have 3 of them. So
all right.
The first one is, what is your favorite international travel destination that you have been to?
St. Lucia.
St. Lucia.
That was my honeymoon.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to ask you more about it, but it's only a one-word answer. Okay. If you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would it be?
Australia.
Ooh.
Okay. I've connected with people down in Australia, so it'd be nice to connect.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Have you been?
I have not.
Ooh, okay. If you were to summarize your philosophy in a couple of words or a phrase, what would it be?
it goes back to my mantra: rise, fight, love, repeat. Right? rise in the morning like a phoenix rising from the ashes. You're going to fight for your physical fitness, your mental fitness, your nutritional fitness. You're going to love yourself. Most importantly, you can love all those around you, and then you're just going to repeat over and over again. And that's how I live each day.
Nice. Michael called that one. He's like, I
Totally.
bet I know what he's gonna say to this one.
I love it. I'm gonna borrow that for myself, man.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it up for the questions, but I also want to mention, well, I have you guys that next week the tables are turning and we're switching things up a bit. So Amanda and I are going to be hosting the webinar with our very own Michael as our guest. And so Michael is a fascinating guy, deeply philosophical. He's dedicated his life to inspiring others to become the hero of their own journey. So we just thought it was high time that we let him share his wisdom and knowledge with us next week. So we're pretty excited about that. So be sure to tune in next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Totally.
And
I
that's
will,
it from me.
I will add, Robin, the only caveat is I cannot promise to keep it to an hour, because if you guys know better than anybody, you get me going, and good luck, right? Good luck stopping the train. So
that'll be Robin and Amanda's task to keep you in that hour time frame.
Oh, seriously.
Yeah, I try. I'm not always successful.
No, you got one question to ask, and then I'm gone. See you later. So,
yeah.
cool. Well, Jeff, I've got a couple other housekeeping things here at the end, but before we go, just wanted to thank you again for all this. This is awesome, and it's been so much fun to reconnect with you, and we can't wait to continue to develop our partnership and also be able to share your wisdom and knowledge with our traveler community. Absolutely.
Just grateful to connect again, Michael, and Robin and Amanda. Appreciate the time, and I hope people got tremendous value from it. So
yeah, we're getting a couple.
Yeah, I'm seeing the
here.
chats coming in. Yeah. People are inspired. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, before we go, a couple housekeeping things. One thing, sort of burying a really important thing here, is that we have just launched, and we'll be sending out more information about this, a new membership program. There's a lot of reasons for that, and you can learn more on our website, but we are launching this membership program for travelers that want to join officially our traveler community. Lots of benefits, lots of access to not only our travel designers, but people like Jeff and our other experts and coaches and consultants that we're bringing in, certain travel perks, and lots of other things, exclusive webinars, and content for members only. So if you want to learn more about what that means, what it looks like, what the benefits are, and how to become a member, please go to explore-x.com/join, and you can learn more about that there. Also excited to announce that we just launched a beta version of our merchandise shop. So for those of you that are hyper passionate about ExploreX and want to get some of your own gear, we're using a website called Bonfire. The link is sort of long and complicated, so Robin's going to just send out a link tomorrow so you can check that out. But we do have some really cool gear on that, so we're excited to announce that. Again, if you have any questions for Jeff, you can reach Jeff at jeff@explorer-x.com. You can always reach us at travel@explorer-x.com. Visit our website again, and you can follow us on social at GoExploreX. Robin, we're doing 5:00 p.m. Pacific time next Wednesday. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Anything else before we sign off?
Nope, that's it. I'll just say that we have people listening from all over. We have somebody from Slovenia.
Ursula, what's up?
I was actually in the top 10 in entrepreneur podcasts in Slovenia last week. So that's kind of funny. She said that.
Oh, seriously?
Yes. Kind of ironic.
Oh, that's awesome. That is very cool. That's great that Ursula's here. That's fantastic. Yeah. So cool. All right, guys. Jeff, thanks again, man. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Have a
Thanks,
great day.
everybody, for joining. We'll see you next week.
Thanks so much.